everyone, and welcome to our show Journey to Success. I'm Ruchika Sharma from CleverTap marketing team. At CleverTap, we help businesses engage and retain their users. Today on the show, I have with me Pablo, who's the CEO at Bioo. Bioo creates electricity from nature, and they aim to lead the shift towards a greener future. Pablo firmly believes that the next tech evolution is the biotech revolution. So let's speak with Pablo and understand how he started Bioo, what kind of challenges he had, and how his journey has been so far. Hi, Pablo. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Ruchika. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for taking out time for this.
You're welcome.
Pablo, I have been reading about Bioo a lot, and it's really unique and it's really innovative. And I want to understand how exactly did it start? What was the story of inception?
Yeah, so at Bioo, what we do is to generate electricity out of nature itself, and it started as the most stereotypical story that you can actually imagine, because it came up just like a dream at 3 a.m. at night, and the idea was, can we actually use nature as a solar panel? And basically, I created a team of people. In the first place, they were volunteers, from engineers to teachers to, well, a lot of people. And during a whole year, we were making prototype after prototype of biological batteries, which were able to obtain energy out of nature without damaging it, literally plugging it into the soil. And that's how Bio took place, actually,
Wow, so basically everything came out of a dream.
literally.
That's incredible. And you mentioned that initially it started with a bunch of volunteers and then eventually you formed a team. I'm sure similar to this, you might have had your set of challenges or maybe a checklist when you were building Bio. Did you have anything in mind, like these are the most important factors that I'm not going to negotiate on, and something like that?
Well, when talking about that, um, in this case, we were kind of flexible, but the most important thing here was to actually have the best of the best. I mean, during the 6 years that we've been with Bio, right now we even have people from NASA and other investigation centers from all around the world. So we tried to be as user friendly as possible. And normally, when talking about racing rounds and things like that, we are also well, in those cases, we're a little bit more restrictive, but we're kind of open because the most important thing is not an investor that gives you money, but actually an investor that can help you anyway. I mean, the first investors that we had were actually biotech companies who actually provided us with labs and equipment to pursue our technology in a better way. And I mean, that would be the main goal actually of what we're doing.
That's interesting. And how was it building the core team after the volunteers? Were you looking at some specific skill set? You mentioned NASA also. So how does that happen, and how important that is for any new business?
Well, first things first, if you think that a business is about the idea or the project, it's not even true. The most important thing is actually the team. And acquiring a good team or the best team is not an easy task. Actually, uh, I learned a lot about what it was to actually know about human resources and things like that, because I had no idea in the beginning. And when we counted with people that really knew about it and who really knew how to dig in and look for the right people, everything changed for the better and a lot, basically. So it's not only about finding them, it's about surrounding yourself with people who know how to find them and who know how to preserve them. Because BIA, in our case, is really cool. People come because they really love the technology, the message, and the goal of the company. But after all, it's a company, and you need to make people feel not only like in a family, but actually like in a place they really want to stay for as much as they can. And that should be the main goal, actually, to really don't get sort of say, well, to don't think that the first people that you're counting with are the best. Always try to look for not better options, but to improve them, to look for ways in which you can learn and they can learn, and well, there are like 1,000 ways to actually improve the team. So those are like the main pillars.
That's really interesting. But I'm sure all this came with its own set of challenges. Like you might have had challenges while building the team, or maybe at some other places. So if I were to ask you about maybe your top three challenges that you face along the way and how you tackle them, what would those be?
Well, in my case specifically, one was a technical one, as you may suppose. I mean, what we're doing is something that has never actually been done before. And when we were creating all of this, we struggle a lot with a few things relating biological batteries. In the first place, we actually struggle with the industrialization of these batteries because they required a very complex biological model inside of microorganisms and things like that. And it's not that easy to replicate in a big scale, even though in the lab we can do more or less what we want. And the other challenge was, in general terms, youth. I mean, to be young is kind of challenging in the first place. You have to really demonstrate even more than what investors are used to. And raising money for a company like this is not easy because when you start, you don't really have a final product in the market. You cannot show traction in the market, but you can show your skills and what you're able of, and you can show your prototypes. And well, if everything works fine, which was our case, then things go a little bit easier, but it wasn't easy. And if I had to name a third one, it would be basically the completion of a product, because after all, what we're doing is a technology. They are biological batteries, but how do you shape them so that you can actually place them in the market? It sounds kind of easy because I mean you have an energy source and then it's easy to actually apply it to basically whatever you can think about, but it's not that easy. It's something that required a lot of skills, a lot of people, engineers, people from operations, from logistics, and well, it was a challenge. And I mean, right now we have several products in the market, but it wasn't easy neither way.
Then how did you start? Like how did you start engaging like new business, new customers? How did that happen?
Well, when we started with Bioo, the good thing about our product, our technology, is that it's really eye-catching. It's impressive for a lot of people, but it's really cool for the future perspectives of the world. So we we found it very easy to go into media and to spread our message, and clients came thereof. But bear in mind that in our case, we also counted with people from all around the world, agents and salespeople who, in some cases, they were under just a success contract, or in other cases, they were hired by us directly. But our goal with Bioo is not really to be a monopoly that buys and sells, I mean, that produces and sells everything, but actually a company that licenses this technology so that other companies are able to produce products with this power source. And that's actually a good point when talking about looking for clients, because you don't have to look for that many clients, but actually looking for the main ones, or the biggest ones that they already have a distribution network. They already know how to place this in the market, and they already have their own clients. So that's basically the goal. I mean, that wasn't really a big challenge in our case, even though it's always a challenge in a company.
It's interesting to know that you were never looking at being the leader of the market, but rather solving a problem. So that's pretty good. And another thing I would want to understand. So,
Well, we want to be the leaders of innovation. That's for sure. I mean, we
oh,
want companies to come to us and say, hey, I want the technology that you do, and I want it in our products. And it's like, cool, that's what I want. Actually, we are not finally making all those products and selling them by ourselves, is because if we focus on innovation, if we focus ourselves in research and development, it's the only way in which we can actually keep on being on the top in the next 10, 20 years.
that's great. And so you said initially you went to the media, and that's how you started getting customers, and you didn't have to like go to like put in a lot of focus there because it's pretty innovative and it's eye-catching for sure. Like I'm super thrilled whenever I read about it. But what now? How has it changed from the earlier times to now? Is like the approach still same, or do you have a different approach in terms of engaging new customers?
Mhm. Well, as you may suppose, during 6 years, a lot of strategies change, and in our case, it was literally like that. The approach is different. It has been perfected, as you may suppose, and of course, we're investing more than before. I mean, before we had a smaller structure. We didn't require that many clients, but right now, well, we have a bigger one, even though it is not huge at all. And we're investing more, but we're not, for example, we're not investing in publicity or things like that, because fortunately, in our case, it comes by itself. But we are investing a lot in people who know how to look for clients and how to get the best collaborators. And yeah, I mean, the approach that we have is a little bit different, and the materials that we have are different, but the general focus of Bioo, of giving a technology that it's able to generate energy out of nature itself, or even applying other technologies that we've developed during these years as well, like using plants of biological switches for the architecture of the future. The model, after all, it's more or less the same. It's providing this technology to anyone and anywhere. So yeah, things change, but the basis keep on being the same.
So I would it be incorrect to say that core values and team are the two most important things for Bio?
Yeah, well, in our case, it's the team and the core values. But yeah, or you can change core values for the goal of Bio or the idea of Bio, which is more or less the same, because it's all mixed up. But yeah,
Yeah, so those two things matters the most.
yeah.
Great. And so if I were to ask, if you have to recall one incident or one experience where you planned something and it did not go as planned, I won't call it the biggest mistake, but an experience that taught you a lot. What would that be?
Yeah. Well, actually, when we began with Bio, we developed a prototype in the lab. Well, actually, there were a few of them. They were plant pots that were able to charge your phone just by plugging it to it. I mean, it was very straightforward as an idea, and it worked. The thing is that it worked in the lab. So we spoke with many manufacturers, mainly the biological ones, and about this, they tried it. They said, okay, let's go for it, and we did a crowdfunding campaign. And actually, we had a very not ambitious at all goal of 15,000 euros. So, okay, let's try. Let's see if we can actually achieve that. And in less than a month, we actually achieved more than 100,000 euros. It was 118,000. So we literally multiplied our goal almost by 10. And but the problem is that a week before actually closing the campaign, the manufacturers called us and they told us, hey, do you remember that microbial colony that I told you I could do? Yes. Well, I realized we can't do it. And I was like, what? And we had like three different option Bs, manufacturers that were able to do the same. And suddenly they all realized that they couldn't do that. And we were like, what the hell? They're going to make memes with my face. And the thing is that we decided to take a path that is not really conventional when talking about crowdfunding, and it's giving the money back. We gave all the money back. We thought we were going to close the company then. And I mean, it was like 6 years ago. So, we didn't actually close it. And it was because one simple reason. We suddenly received a lot of calls from investors who really wanted to invest because of two main points. We were honest in the process, and we actually had a very interesting technology. And there was actually a third point, and it's that we really moved a lot of people through this process, and not only people in terms of clients and people who wanted to participate in the campaign, but in terms of team as well. And they realized that it was really cool. They saw that with a little bit of time and resources, we could actually basically overcome that difficulty, and that's what we did. I mean, it took us a year, but we finally had biological batteries which were that could be industrialized, and that was the main challenge that we faced as a company, because that was really right now I'm speaking about it too fast, but it wasn't that fast when I was there.
I'm pretty sure when such thing happens, time moves rather slowly.
Totally.
And talking about funding, I read that Bioo is one of the most funded startups in Europe. How does that make you feel?
Pretty good. The coolest thing about what we've achieved with Bioo is that we had a lot of international recognition, and specifically the European Parliament named us or gave us the award of the most innovative company of Europe. And besides of the investment that we received, I think that the best recognition is that one. And the money comes right after that. But so long, I think that the greatest impact is the impact that we're making on people. I know that it's kind of a stereotypical to say that as well, but it's real in our case, I promise.
I believe you completely. So, coming to the recent times, 2020 was tough for everyone. The pandemic had hit, and a lot of startups had to shut down and, in fact, had to pivot from their existing model. What was the impact of pandemic era on Bioo?
Yeah, so when we in 2019, we just launched a commercial line that was focused on an evolution of cities. So they were installations, actually, they're called bio installations, and they were focused on transforming the way we see our cities from the inside and the outside, so that we no longer live on the concrete walls. And the thing is that we launched it in October of 2019, and things were going extraordinarily great during the first months until February came and cities got closed. So when cities got closed, and our clients as well, you may suppose what happened. Contracts were canceled, and things just went down basically. And on the other hand, we had also another line, which was the educational line, which is focused on schools, on educational centers and things like that. And suddenly all schools were closed as well. So the impact was huge. The thing or the question is, what did we do? And actually, we thought about pivoting a lot, specifically in the educational line. We focused all our efforts into going straight forward to companies, to selling training to companies about sustainability, about innovation, about how to transform their own companies into more sustainable and way more innovative environments. And it was actually going very well. We actually went through that through a license model. So we counted with the best of the best companies that knew about training and things like that. And they were the ones who actually went straight forward to that model. And the thing is that that was a way to solve one of the lines. And the other line, which was installations, was basically solved in another way. I mean, we started providing products through that line that were used for home use. Actually, we're about to launch like a plant pot that it's made of translucent pottery that you can actually place in your home. You touch the plant and you're able to turn it on. And it's, I mean, to turn on a light, which is really cool. But I mean, applications like that, they're applications that we develop so that other companies can actually place it in their products. But we always like to make a few units of our own just to be sure about everything. And the thing is that that transformation and that pivoting actually ended up with very good results. We ended up having a company that was kind of COVID proof. But as you may suppose, we're still, I mean, getting ready to have the numbers we had before.
Got it. And what about the learnings that you got from 2020? Are you somehow using those learnings and changing your strategies for 2021, maybe your marketing strategies or business strategies?
Yeah, well, actually, during 2020 and 2021, we changed a lot the marketing strategy. I mean, it was absolutely related with the pivoting of each of the lines. But overall, during 2021, the focus right now is to get ready for the launching of the biosensor, which is the product that we're going to launch for the agricultural sector. It's almost ready, but the thing is that it's going to be launched by the beginning of 2022. And right now we're acquiring collaborators from all around the world, from Singapore to Montana in the United States. And the goal is just to try this product, which is basically a battery that you literally plug in the ground, and it's able to power self-sufficient systems like sensors and things like that. And it basically avoids the use of chemical batteries and their yearly replacement, which, as you may suppose, is very cost inefficient. And in our case, we're going to solve that problem, and all our marketing strategy is very focused on that. And actually, we're making a great focus on the United States and Europe as well, because right now they are the pillars of the agriculture 4.0. But apart from that, we had to change it a lot, as you may suppose. Now we had to make it COVID friendly, sort of say.
It's fancy and innovative. I would call it innovative, actually. Very interesting, very innovative.
Yeah, innovative and disruptive.
So a lot of innovations are coming up. You mentioned about a lot of new product lines that you're going to launch soon. So with so much going on the business front, I'm sure you sometimes might feel little like maybe worked up or overwhelmed or something like that. How do you ensure that you still stay sane? How do you take care of your mental and physical health?
Well, in my case, that's a great question. Actually, if you watch Marvel, when Hulk said, "How do you control yourself?" He said, "Well, I just keep being angry all the time." Well, in my case, I just keep being crazy all the time, and that's easier. But no, actually, I don't even have a routine. I mean, if I do all the things I do, is because I don't like routines. I don't want. I don't like monotony. And the thing is that what keeps me sane, it's basically well, doing what I like the most at every time, and not making it a routine, but something that really surprises me every day. And in my case, that really helps a lot. And for the time being, it's actually going pretty well.
Besides Bioo, what's your motivation? Like, what keeps you inspired all the time?
Well, besides Bioo, I do have a lot of projects. I mean, I'm even starting to create a skyscraper in my hometown. So the kinds of projects that I'm doing, they're really weird in a lot of cases. Bear in mind that I normally start with zero resources because I don't come from a rich family or anything like that. But from creating artificial intelligence to writing a book or playing music or, well, a lot of things more, painting. I mean, I love those things and I constantly do them. I've done a few companies before, but I did like 100 projects before those companies. And uh, I think that it has to be a constant challenge to do that. But in my case, the constant challenge is actually the opposite. I mean, not doing things, it's like a great struggle in my case. And I do enjoy actually, I don't know, playing video games and things like that. But after all, I think that your motivations have to be many, and you really have to know how to distribute your time. So I wouldn't say that my problem is to keep sane, but rather to keep on the track in an appropriate way of everything I do. And after all, I work like 12 hours a day at Bioo. So it's kind of difficult, but I do find time to do a lot of other things.
That's really interesting. So before I wrap this up, any advice for our viewers?
Well, I would advise them that bear in mind that every single project that is successful, it's because the person who founded it has already tried like 10 different projects before. Only 1 out of 10 is actually successful during the first year, but only 1 out of 10 of that 1 out of 10 is successful during the third year. So I would really recommend that you constantly do more than 10 projects, not at the same time, but try to bear that in mind, that success is just a product of failure. And really never give up, because the moment you give up is when you have a no, but you already have that no. Let's go for a yes.
Super. That's really insightful. So thank you so much, Pablo. This conversation has been a complete delight for me.
Thank you very much, Ruchika. Hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.